It's wild to me, man. The left has degraded so completely that nothing other than power and control is important to anyone on the left anymore. I mean, there is a freakishly large group of people that all they do, man, they literally think, act, and do however and whatever the propagandist on their TV says. And they can't look objectively at anything. I mean, here's my point. If the left or some leftist tells a Trump supporter, hey, Trump lied about his crowd size or lied about whatever the millions of goofy lies they claim, we have no problem telling them, look, I don't care that the guy embellished his crowd size. I don't care that the guy said mean things to Rosie O'Donnell or anybody else. We care about results. We care about policy. We care about what actually happens. But if we then turn around and tell that very, very same person, provide them actual evidence that Tim Walz is guilty of stolen valor, they're going to tell you that no, he's not. He served honorably and he never lied about combat. He's a good, honest, Midwestern, blah, blah, blah. It's a Jedi mind trick, man. The entire left has been Jedi mind tricked. But this is what the actual truth looks like.
Tim Walz wants to be a heartbeat away from Commander-in-Chief, but Tim Walz has lied about his military record for years.
He's used the rank that he never achieved in order to advance his political career.
Walz lied repeatedly about his rank.
Retired Command Sergeant Major.
Retired Command Sergeant Major.
Command Sergeant Major.
Retired Command Sergeant Major.
Walz lied about being in combat.
Can make sure that those weapons of war that I carried in war,
Walz dodged deployment by retiring when he knew his National Guard unit was going to Iraq.
Everybody knew they were going to train and go to Iraq. The warning order basically stated it, and too much later after he knew it, that's when he retired.
Walz disparaged Minnesota National Guard soldiers.
Mayor said, I request the National Guard. We're going to have massively trained troops. No, you're going to have 19-year-olds who are cooks.
That same Minnesota National Guard that he disparaged, unlike Walz, served heroically in Iraq and Afghanistan. Tim Walz is not fit to be anywhere near the office of Commander-in-Chief. Tim Walz is guilty of stolen valor.
He abandoned us. What the hell kind of leader does that?
That is solid work. I mean, every single part of that ad is provable and every bit of it is despicable, man. And honestly, in my opinion, just as despicable as Tim Walz and his actions are the millions and millions and millions of mindless lemmings that ignore it, or even worse, ignore it. They're actually arguing that it's not true. I mean, it is truly insane. And even worse than those people, I think, Kamala Harris and her campaign, man, this is what they chose for vice president. That makes absolutely no sense. Either they didn't vet properly or at all, or they just don't care. They don't care anymore, right? And either way, man, it all comes down to judgment. It really is that simple. All it is judgment. I mean, you have horrible judgment if you've picked Tim Walz for anything at all. And honestly, I'm beginning to think that no one else really wanted to be her vice president, or really, no one probably wanted to be anywhere near her. I think anyone who was qualified probably did the math and expects her to lose. And they really just kind of wanted to set themselves up to at least have the opportunity to run themselves in 2028. But to her credit, I think those people underestimated both Kamala's and the media's ability to gaslight and deflect. I mean, she's a pro. She is absolutely good at it. They're good at it, right? But they are making some mistakes. She recently put out an ad trying to trick these poor Democrats into believing that she's either some sort of border hawk or, tough on crime. I don't know. But they use footage of her standing with border town sheriffs. And these guys, man, they are pissed. And they are out to make sure that the world knows that they want absolutely nothing to do with Kamala Harris as president.
She took on drug cartels and jailed gang members for smuggling weapons and drugs across the border.
So Kamala Harris trying to flip the script on her border record. And one sheriff that is in that ad is outraged as she uses his image to do so. Tulare County, California Sheriff Mike Boudreaux joins us now. So Sheriff, when you saw that ad and that she was representing you as an endorsement, what was your reaction?
Well, I can tell you here in California, we're ready for someone that's going to support law enforcement. Kamala Harris and law enforcement in California, we're very familiar with her and how she has done over the course of years as a senator and as a prosecutor and as the attorney general. And I can tell you that this ad is deceiving, to say the least. I remember this particular case where we did a drug cartel or a drug trafficking organization where we worked with DEA. And the issue is that in this particular situation, she showed up for a soundbite. She didn't shake anyone's hands, and she quickly left the briefing room. So for me in law enforcement to see my face and image along with my law enforcement counterparts being represented as standing alongside Kamala Harris was truly disheartening. We do not support Kamala Harris. She has a history of not supporting law enforcement. And I just wanted to come out and say that for me in Tulare County, the sheriff of Tulare County, looking out for victims, looking for someone who's going to support criminal justice and law enforcement, that is best represented by Donald Trump and not Kamala Harris.
How awesome is that, man? What were those people thinking? I mean, ask yourself, do Kamala Harris supporters actually believe that she's tough on crime or tough on the border? Isn't the whole point of supporting a person like her that the left believes in open borders and they believe in coddling criminals? I don't know. Maybe it's just me, but I'm pretty sure that's the case, which honestly means that them releasing these ads, they pretty much expect their own people to just ignore them and know that they're full of it. They expect the right to just laugh at it and know that it's ridiculous. But I think they expect the people in the middle, the small sliver of people who just aren't sure about this woman, I think they think that those people will believe it. Whatever their motivations, man, this is what they do. They put out ads that they know are not true. And they know without a doubt that they have no intention of fulfilling anything in those ads. She will never, ever, ever be tough on the border. She's been about open borders and decriminalizing immigration for decades, for her entire time in politics. But this is who these people are, man. They lie. And even when they get caught, they stick to the lie. I mean, most of the time, they'll even double down, which is exactly what Tim Walz is doing right now regarding his stolen valor scandal. He is doubling down.
These guys are even attacking me for my record of service. And I just want to say, I'm proud to serve my country, and I always will be.
Here's the thing, man. If he was actually proud of his service, he wouldn't have spent years and years lying about the rank he achieved and lying about the way he actually served. If he was proud of his actual service, we wouldn't even be having this conversation right now. And I'll let him keep going. Guys, listen to this guy's words. Listen to how they try to reframe the narrative. He wants you to believe that he's the victim in all this. And I'll show you that, guys. But first, if you're enjoying this content, make sure to hit the like button. Make sure to subscribe. That really does go a long way to helping us grow the channel.
With my dad's encouragement, a guy who served in the Army during the Korean War, I signed up for the Army National Guard 2 days after my 17th birthday. I served for the next 24 years for the same reason all my brothers and sisters in uniform do. We love this country. Then in 2005, I felt the call of duty again, this time of being service to my country in the halls of Congress. My students inspired me to run for that office, and I was proud to make it to Washington. I was a member of the Veterans Affairs Committee and a champion of our men and women in uniform. I'm going to say it again as clearly as I can. I am damn proud of my service to this country. And I firmly believe you should never denigrate another person's service record. To anyone brave enough to put on that uniform for our great country, including my opponent, I just have a few simple words. Thank you for your service and sacrifice.
This guy expects you to believe that he's the victim, that he's just some brave service member, dedicated his life, and now everyone's just attacking him and denigrating him because of politics. That's insane, man. The only person denigrating his service is him. He denigrates his own service when he lies about the way he served and he lies about the rank he achieved. No one has said a word about his actual service. In fact, no one actually cares to say a word about his actual service. All they care about is his lying about it. Because here's the thing, man. Lying about your 24 years of service says more about your character than your 24 years of service ever could. Because that's all this is. It's about character. It's about trust. It's about judgment. And his judgment is bad. And Kamala's is worse. I mean, he's the selfish liar, that's for sure. But she chose a selfish liar. And honestly, to me, it really is that simple. But remember, guys, that's not his only problem. That's not his only issue. He's got the stolen valor. He's got the DUI, which is also related in a very funny way to stolen valor. And more recently, he's got the COVID snitch hotline where you could literally tell on your neighbors for daring defy the governor. And oh yeah, he let his major cities burn to service the original woke mob. The guy is literally responsible for sparking off the entire summer of love. And apparently, he hasn't been a real shining star for business either.
Latest reading I saw was almost 60% of Americans are invested in the market, whether it's a pension, a 401k, and yet the Democrat VP nominee, Tim Walz, has zero money in investments. What do you make of someone trying to run the country with zero investment acumen?
I didn't know anything about the VP candidate, Tim, and so I did some digging last week. I got the data last Friday. He is not a good manager. If you look at his stewardship of his state, Minnesota, it's been not good. And I'll tell you how I measure it. People say, oh, you're partisan. No, I'm not. I'm looking at the track record of an individual who came into a state and wiped out job creation. He wiped out job creation in professional, in manufacturing, in accounting, in every subcategory you look at. Those jobs moved to South Dakota and North Dakota. The South Dakota job rate right now is 4 times that of Minnesota. Minnesota only creates jobs in services that are funded by the government, healthcare and social services. Every other sector is in decline. He's also added a surcharge of 1%, 100 basis points, on top of 9.8% taxes on individuals that are retiring. And of course they're leaving the state in droves. He's the best governor for Texas, for Florida, for North and South Dakota, but not for Minnesota.
And that's exactly right. That's where they all went, Kevin.
This is the way that every single person needs to look at these things, man. I wish we all did, man, because when you break it down, man, it's all ones and zeros. It's all X's and O's. Feelings shouldn't matter. Intention shouldn't matter. Partisan politics really should not matter. Results should be all that freaking matters. That's it. And Tim Walz, man, it turns out he was the best governor that North Dakota ever had, which is unfortunate for the people of Minnesota. But if you listen to that, I think you're going to notice, he's right at home with the Biden-Harris agenda. He might as well be a plug-and-play replacement for Joe Biden himself. The only jobs that matter to these people, the only growth that happens when these people are in charge is in the public sector. And public sector jobs, that might move the needle as far as a jobs report's concerned, but government growth does not reflect true economic growth. It never has, never will. But these are the kind of things that people have questions about, man. And these are the kind of things that people would like some clarification from the candidates themselves. And honestly, I'd personally like, above all his other shortcomings, I'd like to hear Tim Walz explain why he allowed his state to be destroyed by insane leftists.
Police officers testified at the Minnesota Senate today. The officers are all board members for the Minneapolis Police Federation. And as Esme Murphy reports, they offered up a scathing critique of government and police leaders during the riots following George Floyd's death.
That's not what we stand for.
Her voice shaking, Minneapolis Police Sergeant Anna Hedberg says during the riots, officers were abandoned by state, city, and department leaders.
To watch them go through that was so heartbreaking. To know that they could have died because we were not allowed to respond the way that we have been trained to respond.
During the riots, the officers were told they could not wear protective frog suits, but were still hit and injured with bottles, cement, and more. Sergeant Hedberg blames state, city, and department leaders for the abandonment of the 3rd Precinct.
I heard the governor say, give it up. It wasn't directly to me, it was through a phone call. How the governor says, give up the precinct. That's demoralizing for this whole state.
And the 3 described a demoralized police force with dozens of officers planning to retire or quit.
I believe I speak for every Minneapolis cop when I tell you that I've never been more publicly humiliated.
They also described a city out of control.
The crime is rampant in Minneapolis right now.
Can you even believe this stuff, man? It's hard to believe anything like this could even happen in this country to begin with. But then to see a person responsible for it be given the opportunity to let it happen on a national level is just unfreaking real. I mean, George Orwell himself would not have believed what is going on right now. A guy who allowed far left radicals to overwhelm an entire precinct of police officers after forbidding the police the opportunity to arm and protect themselves. It's just insane, man. I mean, this person shouldn't be in charge of anything. And this is what Kamala Harris chose to serve as vice president. I mean, this doesn't happen by accident. And I don't think it's just bad vetting or bad judgment. I think it's by design, man. He is a representation of what these people believe and what they want. I mean, his vision is their vision. And this is who these people really are.
When COVID happened, and in the state of Minnesota, my business is located in the state of Minnesota, southern Minnesota. It was a lovely wine and coffee bistro, and it had been in operation for going on 8 years by the time that my business was shut down and destroyed. And when I say it was destroyed, I'm speaking of the being shuttered and not being able to survive that because of what Tim Walz, Governor Tim Walz, and Attorney General Keith Ellison did to me and to my business, as well as our employees. And so what happened is with the first shutdown, we didn't really know what to do, what was going on, and we did comply. And I hate to say that, looking back at everything I've stood for, but we did comply because we didn't know what else to do. He never fully opened up the state. To point this out, who did he shut down? Governor Walz shut down only some of the businesses. The essential businesses got to stay open. So I guess that means that we were a non-essential business, but so he shut down bars, restaurants, gyms, dance studios, hair salons, etc. Who did he not shut down? Who were the essential business owners? That would have been your big box stores, with hundreds and hundreds of people coming to visit through their doors a day, mingling and being close. He did not shut down liquor stores. He did not shut down strip clubs. So think about the contrast there. He shut down a lot of the mom and pop shops, those folks that were just trying to make a living and provide a great product and a great service. In contrast, he allowed big box stores, et cetera, to stay open. Really incredible, an incredible use of tyranny against the people. So we opened up. I can't tell you for sure how long we were open, but immediately within 24 to 48 hours, the state came down on us with a vengeance. They attacked me, a woman, small business owner, as well as other small business owners in the state of Minnesota. They came down, they sent the health department down, they sent everything they could against us. They employed all of their resources against we the people. I went to court. I was found guilty. It was precipitated and put on me by the, you got to go all the way to the top. That again, that'd be Tim Walz and Attorney General Keith Ellison. I was given sentenced to 90 days, which was the max sentencing. And I was also fined $1,000, which was the max fine for this supposed thing that I did, where I was standing on my rights and totally protected by the Constitution of the United States of America. But when you have rogue judges, rogue government, attorney general, et cetera, they're all in lockstep with each other, it doesn't go very well for the people. And this is what we need to be standing against. And this is the story that America needs to know. This is the story that America needs to hear, that Tim Walz is not some cuddly, joyful, coach-like, all the things that the MSMs are calling him, or some of the things that they're calling him. That is not who this man is. This man would like to take your rights away. He will take your rights away, because what happened to me could have happened to anybody. What happened to me will happen to you if we don't get things turned around in our country.
Yeah, she's absolutely right, man. This is who this guy is, and this is who they all are. This is who every single one of these leftists either is or would like to be. And there is absolutely nothing stopping what happened to her from happening to any one of us, man. Even though they're trying to hide everything they are from the voters, I'm telling you, man, if these people win, they're going to view it as some kind of mandate to literally just continue this crazy march to full government control and as much unchecked power as we'll give them, all while their supporters mindlessly call everyone else an authoritarian or a dictator or a cult member or whatever. But this is who these people are, man. But that's just my take, guys. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. If you haven't already, be a part of our growth. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe. Most importantly, share the channel. I'll see you in the next one.